So, it's been a while since my how to start up your very own spaceship video about the Fire Arc. Since then, Rogue System has gotten a new ship, and the Fire Arc no longer works, at least for a bit. So, I decided it's a good time to make a new startup video. Let's go ahead and do that. I'll try to make this brief, but also try to keep it relatively detailed and explain why things are done as I go. Excuse me if I misspeak, please. I'll try my best. So first, we're going to float to the chair, sit down, and secure. We're also going to turn on instrument lighting and all the other lights. We'll press the buttons for now. They won't turn on until the batteries are actually on. Next, we're going to turn on the batteries to supply our ship with actual power. Silence the alarms, because they are annoying. Connect battery 1 to system bus 1. Allow it to charge, and same thing with battery 2 and system bus 2. Next, we're going to turn on station power so our batteries can recharge and don't drain them instantaneously. And turn on our fuel cells. The fuel cells are used as power in emergency situations. For instance, if your reactor goes down, but they take like 5 minutes or something crazy to warm up to operational temperatures. So we turn them on now and let them warm up as we're doing our stuff with the startup sequence. Next, we're going to turn on our radio system, transmitter, and set transmitter power to normal, and start talking to space traffic control. Meanwhile, we're going to turn on cabin HVAC so we don't die of frostbite or asphyxiation, because that would be a bad way to end this video. Following that, we're going to go ahead and turn on our fuel tank system and pressurize all the tanks. After this, you'll see the pressure is climbing. You'll see this inert tank level low. That's used to pressurize the tank, the nitrogen, so that's why that warning light is there, and it will stay on through the remainder of the flight. Next, we're going to turn on the coolant system, the system itself. We're going to go ahead and pressurize the coolant in the pipes. Let me zoom out so I can press the button. There we go. Then we're going to switch pump speed to normal, turn on the pump 1. Pump speed to normal, turn on pump 2. And finally, turn on laser cooling. Once we detach from the station, we will be able to deploy radiators, but for now we'll have to just do with passive heat sinks and laser cooling. Next, we're going to turn on our reactor system. And now that the fuel tank system is on, we're going to go ahead and select tank 4. We can actually burn both tank 2 and tank 4. I think they're both hydrogen. Not sure, don't quote me on that, in the reactor. But tank 4 has a much bigger capacity and is designed for this, so that's what we're going to use. We're also going to turn on the heater, preheater, to preheat our reactor, just like making cookies. Same thing with fusion. While that is warming up, we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of administrative things. We're going to select fuel tanks for our fuel cells so that when they fully heat up, the only things we have to do in an emergency is tie cell 1 to bus 1 and cell 2 to bus 2, which is relatively easy. Next, we are going to turn on our display so that we can see outside. And since it's relatively boring, I'm going to switch the view to the aft port so we can see at least part of the station. We can even do port. Yeah, that's a pretty view. We'll keep it on port for now. Next, we're going to go ahead and turn on our maneuvering thruster system and do the same thing as we did with the fuel cells and reactor. Set its fuel source, which will be tank 1 and only tank 1 for this system. We're also going to turn on the propellant injector. Without this on, we wouldn't get any thrust out of it even in cold gas mode, because this is what actually puts the fuel into the system. Basically, in cold gas mode, what we're end up doing is we take raw fuel and just throw it out of the ship. It moves us very slowly. It is precise though, so we do get, it's what you use when you're trying to dock or undock from a station for safety's sake. We'll come back to the system once we're a little bit of ways away from the station. Next, we're going to go ahead and turn on the main engine system. Turn on the capacitors. Oh, we can't do that yet. Excuse me. We don't have enough power production. Got a little bit ahead of myself. First, we're going to go ahead and turn on our fusion reactor. Now that that's on, we're going to tie it to both the utility and main buses. And now we can turn on and charge the capacitors for main thruster system. I also like tying it to the autopilot because when you transition from planets, that button has to be on in order for the autopilot to control your speed, and you don't want to be sitting in front of your computers for 6 hours making sure your throttles stay at 70%. Last but not least, we're going to turn on the autopilot system itself. This will allow the ship to stop its rotation and align to different things. Enable the different holds, and that's pretty much it. We're going to go ahead and tell them we're ready for departure. Turn off our station power, and we should be good to go. We're going to go ahead and enter one of the frequencies they give us, which I know starts with 45. Oh, yeah. The only reason we do this is so it's easier to keep track of when we're allowed to turn on our maneuvering thrusters properly, because you're supposed to be 0.2 kilometers away from the station. Now you can monitor that distance on your sensors menu, which I'm going to be doing anyway, but it's often easier just to let space traffic control tell you when you're good to go. Speaking of which, we're going to go ahead and switch our view to the aft towing, which is black because it's inside the docking port. For now, as we're pulling away, I'm going to go ahead and open up the cargo bay doors. You can see them opening up right here, which guard and protect our main radiators. With those open, we can go ahead and deploy our radiators to increase the efficiency at which we cool down our ship. As you can see, our ship is actually so cool that the system has automatically bypassed both the radiator and laser cooling because it doesn't need it. In fact, it could be dangerously cold sometimes. Alright, so now that we're outside of the inhibitor range, we can go ahead and start up our MPs. First, we're going to turn on the EM shielding because this is a massive plasma reactor that shoots hot plasma gas, and if this isn't on, we would explode in a fiery ball of death. Pretty much a miniature sun. So that's good enough. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the helicon coupler, which is actually the thing that produces the plasma, and ignite. Now running in cold plasma mode, which is a few million degrees still. So we're going to go ahead and turn on the cyclotron, which will heat it up to normal operation temperature. Finally, we switch to boost allow, and that is it. Everything is good to go. All lights are green. We are done. Now, just for funsies, I'm going to turn on the thrust deflector and ram the station going backwards, because that's what we do for video entertainment purposes. Don't try this at home, kids. And there you go. You now know how to start up your very own Flying Fox.